Welcome to Words of the Wise. On today's episode, I have Chief Walker from Sparta PD in Georgia. He has 22 years experience in law enforcement. Welcome to the show, Chief Walker. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I was hoping that maybe we can start with like introductions. Give us a little bit of background into you.
Well, like you said, I have 22 years in law enforcement. I started back in 2003 in Burke County Sheriff Office. I did about a year in the county jail, and that was pretty much the norm for anyone who was looking to go to the road department. We had to work about a year in the jail. So I worked about a year in the jail, then went on to mandate school and finished up police academy. And right then I got right on the road, and they put me on night shift, and I worked night shift for about 2 years. Um, and after that 2 years, I got a little promotion, promoted over to the civil department, in which that I worked there for about 9 years and handled all of our writs and uh, handled everything dealing with put outs and so forth and garnishments and so forth. So we got experience in that area. Then after that, I was able to, um, we got a new sheriff came in and I was able to be promoted to lieutenant. And I served as the division commander of our community relations department. And I oversee that for about a year and a half until I got my first assignment as chief of police in the city of Watley, Georgia. I stayed there in Watley for about 4.5 years. Watley is part of my hometown. Home county is where I'm from, in Jefferson. And after I served there 4.5 years, I had the awesome opportunity to be a part of Sparta Police Department, in which that in the first couple of months I was the overseer of the police department, in which that I handled all of the administration things for the chief, and the chief soon there retired, and I was appointed. Well, I came there to be the chief, and I was placed in the chief role. So we've been there ever since 2022, and so we are truly enjoying it and grateful for what God have allowed to transpire.
Thank you. Did you always know that you wanted to be in law enforcement, or how did you get started in this career? What is maybe that like why that got you going?
Well, I would say that, as growing up a little kid, you will see we'll see the police and knew the police personally because the town I'm from was a small town. So everybody knew everybody. Police officers usually spoke, usually had some type of interaction with the youth. And so pretty much community policing at that time. And we had somewhat of an idea of saying, well, it'd be real cool to be a police officer, but really, after high school, I really didn't get into it until after the direction that I was planning to go, God redirected it. And so I had left home, went to Atlanta, went to school, majored in graphic design. I did 2.5 years up in Atlanta. Thought it was time for to come home, came home, ran into some other guys who was working in law enforcement. They talked me into it. So I ended up there. So,
Do you ever
yeah.
think about, because what I find really interesting is that you had maybe positive interactions with law enforcement early on in your youth to have that opinion of like, man, that could be kind of cool. Like it could be cool to kind of be like that guy, when you're
Yeah.
younger. Do you ever think about that and, the way that you present yourself to the community and the way that you train your team to interact with the community? Because I would imagine that it could go either way. There could be youth
Mhm.
that's like, I don't want to be like that guy because maybe they didn't have a positive interaction with law enforcement. So do you ever think about that and the way that you operate and train your team?
Most definitely. And that is one of the major roles that any leader has to possess, because you have to be around people who has that same energy. And I believe their energy had fed off on me and allowed me to be able to say, hey, if I lead a police department, I want to make sure that my police department is led in this way. I'm grateful because I had that type of leadership to follow after from the beginning to the end, even before. As growing up as a kid, seeing one true friend of mine, is my friend here today, he was the police chief of my hometown, and he took time to go out into to the community, to go to the stores and to visit people and to have a relationship with people. And he was Chief David Hanna, and he took that time to pour into the community because it was his hometown, and he loved what he did, and he loved the people. And so I saw back and I watched it. I said, man, wow, if I ever be a cop. I want to do things like David, be more involved in the community, let the community know that you are there for them. And so I've taken that and I brought that into the role of law enforcement. And then after I got into Burke County, I had a lot of guys who I worked with, had the pleasure to work with. Chief Larry Lewis, he was one of the guys who really helped me get into the role of a deputy of a police officer. So he made sure that I had everything, and along with the sheriff at that time, Sheriff Coursey, they made sure that I was placed in the position to better fulfill my duties. And so, with that being said, I brought all of that with me to make sure that I'm giving the guys what they want. If they want to attend a special class or they want to have a special certification, try to push them to that place to excel so that when they get to that next level, they'll be able to do well. Because I know for a fact the guys who come with me, the ladies who come and work with us, um, they're not going to stay there always because they're going to be better and more opportunities for them. But I want to be able to give them at least that jewel to be able to utilize when they go to that next level, to that different agency to help that community. So those people who have been around me and who have helped me along the way have helped me also um, lead and guide others in the right way of law enforcement, even to the sheriff my brother, who given me the opportunity to lead as the division commander over community relations. That really helped me and set me up in a position of being a chief. It showed me a whole lot of different things where I had to deal with different POs and different orders and handling different things. Sheriff Williams, he really helped me, and not only me. Sheriff Williams, he helped many officers, many deputies. There's a lot of deputies who worked under and with Sheriff Williams who have gone on to be chief of police. They have gone on to lead other agencies and have done well and are doing well. And so it's that type of leadership that had positioned me to help better others. And so I look over my years in law enforcement and I say I can't take credit for none of it because it's all these other guys who God have allowed to come into my life to help mold me and shape me to help others be even greater.
Yeah, I agree. I think that in advancement and development is so important. And
Hmm.
I heard someone also say this, and I really liked this, is people are messy and you're in the
Yeah.
people business, right? People are messy, and that could be in the community or within the organization, but to give people grace and to have
Hmm.
empathy for what people are going through, and then have that like true heart of like wanting people to succeed, and again, I
Yeah.
think that that can go, within the community that you're serving and then within the organization that you're representing. You want everyone to succeed and you want people to have the best shot at whatever it is that they're looking for, whatever that next step looks for them. How important do you think mentorship is? And do you think that you have to be in a formal leadership position to be a mentor?
I believe mentorship is very important, especially in our line of work, because um, mentorship helps you figure things out that can be confusing at some time. Even though I may have 22 years in, I still lean back on some of those other guys who have 30, 35 years in. Why? Because there are still some things that I may not have faced during those earlier times and moments, but having someone there to help me
Mhm.
and to help still lead and guide me is a great benefit. It'll help me not um, mess up at times and or make that right decision, even though that every situation isn't the same, it still can help you in the decision that you need to make. And it's very important because having someone there to help you, um, it'll keep you out of out of the court system.
Right.
But we have to make sure that we have someone and not be so big-headed to think that we know it all, that
Mm.
we don't need that help and that guidance. And that's when a lot of us end up messing up because we get ahead of ourselves and we think that we already have got it and we've received it. No, law enforcement, it takes brothers and sisters that know, that have been there. And it's very important that you can have somebody who you can call and when you're in need. Now, do you have to be a leader to be a mentor? You don't. You don't. And the thing is that a lot of people, a lot of guys who I know, they may have been in law enforcement 40, 50 years and haven't passed a ranking of a sergeant or a lieutenant.
Mm.
Still doesn't mean that they are not leader material. They've faced a lot of things. They've seen a lot of things. A lot of them just have that choice of, okay, do I want to go to that next level? Or am I comfortable where I'm at? And so you don't necessarily have to be a chief of police to be a mentor. No, I try to tell my guys, we have a couple younger guys who are part of our force, and I tell my older guys, hey, wrap them around your wing. Try to nurture them. Try to show them, hey, this is the best route.
Mm.
Or hey, if you don't get this straight now, Chief ain't gonna like this too well. So I try to get them to help nurture them and mold them so that hey, they won't make that mistake down the road. And we all know as we got that put that gun belt on for the first time, you yourself, you was excited and you was ready to go out and make your first arrest and make your first drug arrest, and you was just ready to go and pull over that first car, turn those lights on, turn those sirens on, and be able to get to that car real fast. But then you got to have that 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 person that's there to say, hey, we're gonna take it a little slow. It's gonna come to you, and but we're still gonna be proactive in doing our job. But you need that. You need those ones who may not have that title of chief. And we have to understand that it's not all about the title. And
Yeah.
it's not. It's not all about the title. It's all about us being able to fulfill the mission, and that is to serve. That is to serve and protect,
Yeah.
giving people, our community, what they need. Because if we don't, we'll end up beating ourselves down, which is a whole nother story.
Mhm. No, I love that it's like what is the goal? Like what is the mission? What are we here to do?
Hmm.
And I also love the sentiment that everyone has value. And
Hmm.
I completely agree with that. I think that sometimes we get so caught up in the title or where someone is within their organization, whether that's within a law enforcement organization or in a company or whatever, and we're like, oh, is this person like top dog?
Yeah.
And we forget that like everyone has life experiences, everyone has value, everyone has been somewhere and has something to bring to the table. So I think the more
Mhm.
that you can try to learn from everybody, and I think you
Yeah.
can learn from people in your community too.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not just within the organization. I try to put myself out there and say, ask myself in every interaction, what can I learn from this? And I think that you could learn from a homeless person on the street and you could also learn from the chief of police and everywhere in between, so I
That's right.
really like that sentiment. I wanted to kind of circle back to something you said to me offline, and you had told me that, you've gone through your own personal ups and downs, trials and tribulations throughout this career. What did those look like, and how did you overcome that?
Um, there was moments in which that being overfelt as if I was overlooked, and and the actual act of being overlooked. Some of those moments and those times, I sat back and I was wondering, like, well, why is it that this person get the favoritism? And I was told, hey, you'll get it the next time, and the next time never came. You know, um, I had to deal with myself about that by stating, saying to myself, look, in God's timing, everything will work out the way it needs to work out. And just as I had told you before, I'm also a pastor. And so I began pastoring shortly after I began in law enforcement. So um, I could remember Romans 8:28 but said, for we know all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and those who are called according to his purpose. And so with that being said, I reflected back on God's promises, knowing that, okay, I may have been overlooked, I may have been dealt a wrong way, but God will never, he'll never leave me.
Mm.
And whatever he has for me is going to work according to his plan for my life. Now, in the midst of me leaving Watley, going to Sparta, I experienced a lot of turmoil. I had to be faced with a previous chief who was kind of upset, and I believe is more upset with the council or with the city as a whole. But I received all of the backlash. I received some of the verbal threats. I was the one who was being lied on, saying that I was trying to attack people and that I was bringing people into the town and that people didn't know and I was stop. I had the guy stopping every car, and it was those things of attack, which is a part of it, but it was trying to hinder what we was trying to do. But after we showed our, our faithfulness to the community, and we introduced community relations to the community began to open up. The community began to show their appreciation. The community began to say, hey, Chief, we truly thank you. Thank you for slowing the 18 wheelers down, for coming down through town with our elderly people are trying to cross the roads. Thank you for making sure that people are driving with what they're supposed to have, a driver's license and car insurance. Thank you for making sure that the officers show up on calls. And so it was small things like that that even though that I faced the backlash, I had to wait 2 months before actually was placed in the position. Even though that I had to wait, I knew that it was working out for my good because um, in the midst of it, who wants to leave a place of comfort and go to a place of uncomfort?
Yeah.
So nobody. So I had to pray, I had to wait, and I had to trust in God's word, knowing that this was the move that He wanted me to make. And now I'm truly grateful, and I can see why He wanted me to go through what I had to go through. I can see and understand why I had to go through it. And it was not necessarily for myself, but it was also for the citizens, so that the citizens can see. Um, that a difference can be made, that a change can be brought forth, that they can have officers who care about them, that they can have leadership who wants that change, who brings that change. Because there's a lot that Sparta was facing. Was in a bad situation. We had five officers and two patrol cars. We had no uniforms. I
Mm.
didn't have a uniform to put on when I first got there, not even a polo shirt. So we was in a rough place, but now just about all of our officers have department issued guns, firearms. I believe except one, and it was by his choice. and we have everyone have uniforms, everyone have their own individual vehicles. They have take-home vehicles, pay is up, and so we have been able to move from a place of being belittled to a place of respect.
Mm.
And so even having to go through all of that, it allowed us to be able to look up to say, okay, God is in the midst of it, and even in the midst of it, we still can press, and that's what we've been doing as a police department.
I really appreciate you sharing that because I think a lot of times people see you at like the top of your game, right? You are the chief of
Mhm.
police, and they don't see the hard work and the dedication and the sacrifice that it took to get there. And
Yeah.
I appreciate you having the ability to be vulnerable and to like share that because it makes everyone else, like, I think for me, like, it gives me an exhale. It's like, okay, like, it does take sometimes an uphill climb to get to the top. And that part of it is often missed. And I think that part of it's really important. There's a lot of growth and learning that goes with that. And then it gives you the ability to now, afterwards, be able to help others and to teach others through that experience. So I really appreciate you sharing what it kind of took to get there because I think sometimes people forget that there's a journey.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a humbling experience because it allows the guys who I work with, they choose to be there, even though that they can go to other agencies to make more money,
Mhm.
to agencies that have way more equipment. They still choose to be there, and they're giving themselves faithfully daily. So if there's anything that I'm needing them to do, at a drop of a dime, they're on it. Um, I stay an hour away from Sparta, and I transmute every day. Um, but if there's anything that needs to be done, they say, Chief, don't worry about it. We got that. It's if it's something that say something simple like the other day, we had a guy who we had to go pick up who we had warrants on. And I text them, they text me and they text, hey Chief, we got this fella, need to be picked up. I said, okay, y'all don't worry about it. I'll come in and take care of it. He said, no, Chief, don't worry about it. We got it. We'll take care of it. You rest and we'll take care of that. You just tell us the details on what you want us to do, when we get it. And so it's things like that that really sets my heart well because they're willing to work with me and not work against me.
Yeah.
They have accepted the vision because they understand the purpose. And when they understand the purpose, they will accept the vision, which will make everything go forward
Mhm.
as a police department, and we can better serve. Our morale in the department is high. I'm talking about high. We have barbecues together. We sit and cook. I cook. They come and eat. We laugh. We have a great time. Altogether, we have 13 of us, including me. There's 13 of us. And we can sit down, laugh, enjoy each other. Them guys, they get off work, they'll sit around the office for 30 minutes to an hour just talking,
Mhm.
if the time is available. So it's like a family because we have created that atmosphere and let them know, listen, we are here to help each other and to serve the community. They understand the vision and they fulfill the vision. Now, I want to say too, Paige, the only reason that it's able to be able to get to this place is going back to that those other leaders I've had in my life, and also my background as a pastor.
Mhm.
And so the same way I lead in my church, I tell my deacons and my trustees, hey, let's do this. And my deacons and trustees, they take it and run with it.
Mhm.
Whatever needs to be done, it's going, Pastor, don't worry about it. And so um, my experience from my past leadership, from those ones where I've worked under, and those pastors I've seen, I've been able to take bits and pieces from those experiences and to be able to lead the people God have given. me the opportunity to lead and to work with. And so I am once again I am humbled because in Sparta we don't have much. We have a subway, we have two red lights, and we have a lot of mom and pops, either stores or restaurants. We don't have much. We have Family Dollars and Dollar General. That's it. And so being in a community of 1,300 people, 3,000 in the metro area, but as for in the city limit, 1,300 people, and being able to get people to come from different places to work. And because they say it's not all about the pay, but yes, we have to pay bills, but it's not about the pay. It's
Mhm.
about being able to come into an environment that's not hostile. It's
Yeah.
being able to come into an environment knowing, hey, you got somebody that has your back, being able to come into an environment knowing, hey, I could come there and work and don't have to be chewed out because I write so and so a ticket, you know. And so we try to show the community that we are there and that we love them and we care about them and that we care about one another. You know, in order for us to be able to go forth, we have to show ourselves friendly. But the Bible teaches us that how are you going to have friends if you can't show yourself to be friendly? And so we do the best that we can to show our friendship towards one another and also throughout our community.
You touched on a few things that I want to kind of circle back to. I know that, obviously your faith and spiritual wellness has been important for you and creating a culture within your organization where people want to be there and they want to show up, even so much where they're staying late to talk to people. I think that right there, like creating that culture is what everyone is looking for. Every organization across the country wants that. And I know you've shared a lot about the things that have helped you, your spiritual wellness, things that you've gone through, your trials and tribulations within this career, the mission. Do you think that you were able to create that culture because you communicated and you shared with your team what's helped you and also what you want out of this department moving forward, what that mission really is? Do you think communication is the key to that?
Yes, communication is the top tier.
Mm.
Um, you we when I first went to Sparta, um, I told them, I say, okay, we're gonna have a business, we're gonna have a meeting. And everybody say, a meeting? A meeting? Why are we having a meeting? I said, well, we're gonna sit and meet, we're gonna talk and discuss some things, discuss the future and
Mm.
how we're gonna move about things going in the future. So they was like, Chief, man, we ain't never had no meeting. We never sat down to talk. I said, well, this is what you can look forward to. At least every 2 months, we're going to sit down and we're going to discuss things. And if we need to meet more frequently, we will do that. But for right now, we'll meet every 2 months and we'll talk about different things or problems that may have occurred or things that we need to straighten up, um, or whatever. If you have some problems at home or issues you need to talk about it, my doors are always open. You text me, call me, we can meet, we can talk on the phone, or come to the office, or whatever it is. But it's important. It's important to have that communication line because that communication line, it allows you to see several things. It allows you to see if they're in tune with what's going on with the department. It allows you to see um, if there's issues with them or with their family or what they have going on or problems with someone else in the city. It allows so much. It allows them to go ahead and voice their frustration if there's any, so that you can check the situation and get it right so that you can remove the issues to make sure that the department is on one accord because we all know if one person is offset about something and he goes to that other person, then that person goes to that other person, it's just going to spread like cancer. It's going to be an issue. But if you sit down and let's talk about this situation and go about this thing to make sure that you're bettering the department and you're bettering that individual, that person will be happy, much happier to go out and to serve, will be much happier to take that extra work day to work, even though that he wanted to go fishing or she wanted to go to the mall and buy some new shoes. But if you take that time and listen, and that's important. You know, I've heard some guys say, "Well, man, I ain't got time to be uh, sitting there counseling people. I'm not a counselor. I'm the chief of police." I said, "Well, if you take on the role of the chief of police, you're gonna be the counselor. You're gonna be personal counselor, marriage counselor. You're gonna be sometimes the doctor. You're gonna be an encourager. You're gonna be so many things. So just because you have that title of chief police, it just doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be police related.
Mm,
So communication is very, very important. You can't run a department, you can't head a department without that communication. You have to have communication.
yeah. And I think too, people want to feel heard and they want to feel
Yes.
valued, and the more
Yes.
that you can go to them and look them in the eye and talk to them about, their opinions and how they feel about certain
Mhm.
things and, hear what's going on in their lives. And they
Right.
feel valued not just as employees, but as people. And I think that, again, it
Mhm.
goes back to what we said before. This is a people business. And when
That's
people
right.
feel like they matter as people, then to your point, they're going to show up and do a better job for you because they're going to feel like you care about them. So
That's right.
I agree with you. A
That's
hundred
right.
percent on
Mhm.
communication and making people feel like they're important because they are. They are so
Yeah.
important.
That's right.
Um, my final question to you, and this is in the context of kind of communication and words of wisdom. What words of wisdom would you share with someone who's earlier in their career? Maybe something that you wish you would have known earlier or something that's helped you along the way.
Well, I would say what has helped me along the way to encourage someone else who's younger in the field, um, connect with someone who have been in law enforcement for a while. Connect with someone who has that experience. Connect with someone who have been there. Connect with someone who knows the ins and knows the outs. Because in life, in the field of law enforcement, there's going to be a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and you don't want to um, be reactive to a situation. You want to be proactive because a lot of times if we be reactive, it can put us in a situation that we can't get out. And if we have that person there to mentor us, to help guide us and to lead us to the place where we should be, then we'll be able to have a better mindset about the situation. We'll have a better um, a thought process about the situation. But we have to, it's important that we have that person to help us or persons to help guide us. We need that guidance.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it so much. I really
Uh,
appreciate you taking the time to give your words of wisdom and to talk about wellness and the incredible culture that you've created within your organization. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.